Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 15 of AI Talks, my n8n podcast that I meet innovators and bright minds, those who are doing something with n8n and something with AI, and I sit together with them, speak for 10-15 minutes, chit chat, and then after that, we go and build something. Before I introduce my guest today, I managed to break this thing. Therefore, you guys look at this flickering. So it's broken a little bit here. Therefore, this flickering is happening here. So Vibe Stage needs to go wireless. The wire was tangled in my foot when I was trying to set up the cameras and just live with this flickering. It's a zero edit podcast. Everything raw. This is the raw version you get. Sorry for that. I'm going to go right after this podcast and buy one of these things from a shop. And tomorrow I have the episode number 16. So I'll make sure that the quality is better there. So today I have Gina with me. She is working at Grafana and she'll tell us more about herself. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Tell us your name. What do you do at Grafana? For how long have you been working? Grafana is the company every single developer loves. And this
That's right.
Amazing.
So yeah, Gina Lopez. I am in Grafana's marketing team. So I started at Grafana between 6 and 7 years ago. We were just a very small but mighty marketing team back then. I've bounced around quite a bit, but now I'm focused purely on customer marketing.
Wonderful.
At Grafana, yeah.
6-7 years ago, you started Grafana as a how many years old company?
10
years old. So literally it was just starting to get bigger.
Correct.
How many GitHub stars do we have now? 90,000 or something?
It's a lot.
We can quickly check it. Let's go to GitHub and Grafana and look at 71,000 GitHub stars. So at the time when you started, probably it was less.
Yes.
Let's check that out. Let's do that. So let's see how many GitHub stars 6-7 years ago? 6 or 7?
So it was 2013.
Okay, 2013. Oh, this was 2013. You started or what? 2013. If you started, then it's 13 years.
No.
2017. 2016. So somewhere in there. Oh,
yeah, no,
I shot myself in the foot. I don't know how to see how many GitHub stars were there at the time.
It's less than it is now.
Obviously.
Less than when it first started. It's in there.
Yeah. So nice. Nice thing for a build session. Not now. We are just in the chit chat session. So what you said marketing. Like I have seen a lot of marketing folks getting into n8n. What are you doing with n8n at Grafana?
Learning. But no, in all sincerity, I mean, I think when we started realizing the power of these automations and Grafana adopted n8n, then it was all about just kind of like wrapping my head around what does this mean for myself, for my role, for my team, and started with an idea of like, how do I replace myself with this? But then quickly realized it's not about replacing myself because there's so many high touch interactions that I have where you absolutely want a real human taking care of our customers. But also there's a lot of part of my job that's repetitive. Mm-hmm. Right? It's repetitive, it's tasks that have to get done, it's communication across other teams. Mm-hmm. And so I went from thinking, how do I replace myself with AI to how do I take some of these tasks that take up so much time and automate them so that I'm more freed up to focus on the things that are more high impact.
Mm-hmm. And what are those tasks like? If you can give us like 1 or 2 examples that kind of like also bakes kind of like what we would do later on in the build session of this podcast?
So for example, in customer marketing, my job is to re-expose the success of our most successful customers back to the community, back to the market. And so there's a lot of post-production content creation, sharing. So, for example, we throw a lot of events all around the world with Grafana. I go to these events. I bring customers who give their success stories. Afterwards, okay, great, you have a video. You need to make a blog post or a blog post of that video. You need to make a LinkedIn post about that video. You need to share to the other teams. Hey, now we have this content. So again, it's taking that one piece that you have, multiplying it,
I see.
sharing it.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think that's pretty much one of the reasons why a lot of marketers, how is that word?
Marketeers, yeah.
Marketeers adopt n8n so fast. Why? Because it's so easy to learn. You don't have to be technical. Although it's a tool for technical people, but marketeers can benefit a lot. There's a lot of like low-hanging fruits that you can automate with n8n if you're a marketeer. And you can literally take like, I'm no expert in marketing, but there's a lot of data, like a lot of breadcrumb that you can follow to find someone and kind of like create like enrich their profile when they like your post, if they have a UTM tag setting and so on. So tell me more about that world. Like, how does it look from a marketeer perspective in n8n?
In n8n. Well, you are a marketeer, right? Because you're making content. You're making content, and you want to make sure that what we say here today gets all the way across to whoever's following you on various platforms, right? And later on, you might want to reference this podcast for another one. So, in the end, it's actually not that different of roles.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you're marketing yourself. But I'm marketing, various people, and don't even get me started on like languages, right? Because again, we're global, so we have customers,
multiple languages,
cultures,
and so on.
So from an n8n perspective, again, it's not just an external challenge to keep this rhythm of content moving, but it's also internally. When you work for a big company with, we're fully remote. We've always been fully remote. So you want to make sure that the information is not only just shared to people not working at Grafana outwardly, but that it's shared again internally. So from n8n, how do I build something that again force multiplies how effective I can be sharing this great customer content externally and internally?
That's wonderful. And when you say Grafana adopted n8n, it's the enterprise layer that already n8n has been rolled out to Grafana. And wow, this is amazing, because something that I have in mind is also kind of like, as I said, I'm not by education a marketeer. I'm doing these marketing efforts. I will learn a lot from the build session from you. So what do we have in mind? Like the way this podcast is done is we do a little bit chit chat. We get to know the person, the guest, and then he or she brings something on the table and I build it or co-build it. I know you, Gina, you have some n8n experience. So you know what's the canvas, what's a node, you can put together some nodes.
Yes, I'm getting there, right? I'm with expert level, but I'm getting my hands dirty in there.
So you can correct me if I'm doing something wrong.
I'll try.
So let's get to the build session. So we have a build session. We're going to build something together. What are we going to build is 100% to your hand. Like, you tell me what we're going to build. We are going to build that exact thing. So what are we going to build today?
Okay, so we are, of course, we're filming this in December. So I'm looking forward to next year, looking forward to some goals of, what I can do next year to make myself again more effective. And let's just say that I want to have the goal of posting every single day, business days, a new piece of content.
On which platform?
On LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
From our success page of Grafana.
I see. Okay. When you say success page, there's a website of Grafana. Where can I find that?
Bottom, or grafana.com/success.
/success. So your goal is to generate a post from this page. You own this page? Your team owns this page?
Correct, yes.
And you guys push content to this already?
Yep. So every time we invite someone to give a presentation, do a blog post, do a case study, this all lives here on this page.
I see. So for example, let's pick an example. Uber, for example. Uber has some content in here. And based on this content, you want to create a post that would also, you have a video as well. So what's that?
So the content that, so for the card that pops up, that takes you to the content.
Oh, I see. So that's kind of like a small preview of what's...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this content is the base of this. So if I would be doing it without n8n, I would just come here, copy it, or better to kind of do it here, and then go to ChatGPT, and then I would say like this. Can you please create a viral LinkedIn post for the following content from this page and write it from my perspective? My name is Gina Lopez, and I'm the
Customer marketing director
of Grafana. So I would do it something like this, and whatever output it would bring, I would copy it, paste it, and perhaps link it to that link, right? Or leave that link as a first comment. Hey, that's a very good controversial question I have. Like, a lot of people say, like, don't put the link in the LinkedIn post. You're an expert marketer. Do you agree with that? Like, not external links directly to the LinkedIn post?
I don't think anything is like a no-go rule, right? You play around with it. Like, I think you can only for your exactly, yeah. If you know, before I would answer that, I would say, I don't know, let me do a trial of like this many with the link, this many without the link, and decide for myself instead of just blindly being like, oh, that's a rule, I'll adopt it.
Because the thing is, I do always follow that advice of people don't put a link that takes the traffic out of LinkedIn, and then a lot of people don't find that first link, the first comment. They go to the first comment, they can't find the link, and then they write me a DM. Can you send me the link to that registration, to the Lumo page for that event, that workshop? Good point. I will do an A/B testing, and then we'll see.
There you go. And not only that, but the minute you say something is absolutely for sure, then LinkedIn does something to change their algorithm.
Absolutely. Exactly.
We're back to where we started.
Exactly. All right. So we're going to automate this process. We'll see where can we go. Like the idea is here, right? So step number 1 we have is like a success page. Step number 2 is kind of like an LLM. We'll use ChatGPT for now because I have it configured. ChatGPT call. Step number 3 is proofread, probably. Would you like to proofread?
Yeah, like a human in the loop check.
And then step number 4 would be post it on LinkedIn. Now, from where should we start that makes more sense, that reduces the efforts, is the good question. So most of the time is spent on step number 1 and 2. So what we can do for this kind of a workflow is that we can start it with a trigger. Not sure which trigger, we'll talk about that in just a second. In that trigger, we'll do the following things. You are already getting your page content, the page content that you have. Where is that? We were just there. Oh, I see it's my incognito one, so we can keep it there. So the page content is the success page, right? Are you guys using a CMS, a content management system, to push this content here?
We are. We're actually in the middle of a migration from one to another, so that's in a little bit of a limbo right now. So
this is going to be, we have 2 options here. Let's put this as a trigger. It's a kind of like a scheduled trigger. So if we, actually it's much faster to do it in n8n than in Excalibur. I just realized that n8n can also be used instead of Miro and Excalibur and so on. That's so funny. So it's going to be a trigger based on a schedule. Why? Because we don't know when you post. And we don't know if that CMS will have a webhook. Let's actually start from there. Which CMS are you going to?
Storyblock.
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 Storyblock. Storyblock is a very famous one. I know this. And the way I would always go with these kind of solutions is, first thing first, go to the documentation, check if it has a webhook. Why? Because this trigger point is very important. If you find a trigger that the other system can trigger your system, then you save a lot of execution time. For that, I would like to explain what is a webhook and what's an API. So we have this webhook. It's a little bit confusing because there is this n8n thing called webhook, this one. This can be perceived as a webhook, like the terminology of webhook in the world of web developers. And there's another thing called API. So let's understand these two things in the contrast, and I'll explain that. So imagine if we have like two systems, system A and system B. And these two systems want to talk to each other. The very default way is that they talk to each other in terms of like APIs. So there's an API call going back and forth, and there's another way that's called webhook. So these system A and system B, when they talk to each other, in our case, system A is n8n. It needs to talk to Storyblock. Is that the Storyblock like this or without K? No, it's without C. So now Storyblock has an API. We use an API, and then it responds back with a JSON file. Okay, that's the API approach. Now, when this thing happens, the moment it happens, we need to know exactly when to trigger this API. It's just time-based. We say, hey, Mr. API, new content or new pages. This might be like new pages or whatever it is, new content, whatever the API is. We call that API. This is called HTTP request. And this is called HTTP response. And the system comes back to us as a JSON. And we use the solution is basically on a schedule trigger or a click or whatever trigger, we use the HTTP request node in here. So basically, we go to this, we say that app.storyblock.com/get new content or something like that. We supply some information and we get back and here some sort of a JSON file. So that's the API approach. So literally, this is the API approach. There's another one, the webhook approach that's gonna come here, is the concept goes like this. We have still the same two systems. We are gonna register for this system number 2 at some other point in time with some information. We say that new content n8n. And we say, we schedule this, that whenever there is a new content coming in, then you're gonna call me here underneath this particular API. So this API thing exists there, and it also comes as a part of this information. It sends me some JSON file without me requesting it at some point in time in the future, and that's when this webhook is happening. So this webhook will have a path kind of like new content n8n, just giving the suffix so that you know that this is an API running on n8n. And then I take this production URL and then I supply this production URL to my Storyblock settings. And then Storyblock will send me an API request whenever this thing happens, this new content is created. This one is a better approach. Why? Because in here, in the schedule trigger, we're checking every single whatever trigger that we put in here. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single week, and so on. That means it's going to consume some more resources. It keeps checking again and again and again. With this kind of an approach, it checks, hey, is there a new content? Storyblock says no. Is there a new content? No. It keeps happening every single hour. That means it consumes more content, more resources of your server, your n8n server. And in case of this approach, this webhook approach, it's much lighter because the heavy lifting happens on the system B, so on the Storybook. Now, since you're going to Storybook, we're going to go and check whether or not Storybook provides
Storyblock. You said book.
Storyblock. Thanks for correcting me. And Storyblock will have like a developer center. You always go to documentation of that. I've never been to here a long time. I used it once in like many years ago. So a lot has changed. I'll go here and then search for webhook. That's where you start. You find out your webhook and then you read about it. You see what kind of webhooks it provides. So we can see that it provides webhook example triggers, payload. It can literally, the webhook that we're looking for is on publish, on unpublish, on deleted, on moved. Does it also provide on edit or not? Because when something edits, you're not really worried about editing a post. If a post is edited, you don't worry about that. You're only interested in when a post is published.
Actually, it is interesting that it has that capability because sometimes we do have to go back if products are updated, for example, and then edit a older post. So,
okay.
But maybe not for this exact purpose, but it's good to know. Yeah. And I actually didn't realize that a product would have such a comprehensive kind of overview of what.
No, it doesn't have an edit. At least I can't find it on this page. But at least the publish is good enough for us, right? So we need to go and do a webhook on publish. So whenever a content is published, we'll go in and get it from there. And then it's literally, this is exactly the UI I was looking for. So even we don't need to do an actual setup of a story block to cut the time short from other platforms and to spend more time on n8n. It's going to be something like that in a setting. Usually it is in the setting. And then you put some memorable name, and then you put a URL. Where is that URL coming from? Literally from your webhook. So this webhook comes in here. Imagine if this is sitting right there. So the amount of work you need to do on Storyblock is literally this much. And then you pick what will trigger this webhook. You also, for security reasons, you can put some secret code in here. You can check it on n8n side to make sure that not everyone can send you a request. And then all the details on how to trigger this webhook will go here. But do you know what's a postman? It's a software. It's like this. It's a software that usually programmers use to test their webhooks and so on. So what we're going to do today, and this is how you will do it anyways. You're going to use Postman in order to test that webhook that you're going to create before even actually connecting Storyblock. We're going to use Postman. We're going to click it manually, but we'll assume that this is one of those triggers that came right away from Storyblock. So let's go and do that. I have taken this. I don't need the scheduled one, so I'm going to start this in the listening mode. And I don't know what sort of payload this thing will send me, so I'm going to go in the documentation and see what's the payload that it sends. The payload it's called payload. Basically, it's a terminology that means like the JSON that it sends or the kind of content that it sends. The content that it sends from page creation, that's a task payload. You need to find out what is the content that this story block, the story block publish event sends to you. So let's go find that one. Publish payload. I hope they're create story, publish a story. Let's see what's that JSON that it's gonna send us. Doesn't have the payload. This is how there are some examples. The response of this. Oops, wrong gesture. So So publish. I'm going to release a Kraken. Is it storyblog.com? Yes. And docs and API. Can you please check this link and find me the following information? I want to know what's the payload that I will receive from the publish webhook trigger. What I want to see is that what kind of a JSON payload Storyblock will send me whenever the publish webhook is triggered. So you do this. You can stop me anytime, Gina, and ask a question or something. So.
I guess, you're doing this to understand exactly what's being sent over, and you want to first send it via the postman so that the postman can say, like, yeah, this all looks legit. Continue on with this, so that you're never kind of wondering, what am I going to get next time from this call?
Right.
Okay.
So instead of like me spinning off right now as a Storyblock account, create a publish, like do everything in Storyblock, I already know what Storyblock will send me. It's documented on their API documentation. I get that piece of JSON, I put it in Postman, I send it over to my n8n workflow, assuming that, n8n workflow is super agnostic of where the data is coming from. So this data, when it comes to this webhook, you'll see it in a minute, it's agnostic to Storyblock.
Yeah.
We don't know Storyblock. Storyblock is sending this information, but it could be another place sending this information. So this information that can go from system B, it can also go from system C if we agree on the same so-called payload. So this payload, if it's agreed that's going to receive from system C a payload like this, from system B a payload like this, and I'm going to receive it there, then the same webhook can serve for both of them. There's another architecture that is used that they kind of like detach this. They put another middle layer in here. This is called BFF architecture, not best friends forever. Backend for front end, or kind of like an API layer, and then it will supply a unified front or payload or JSON to this webhook. So the webhook stays there. It receives payloads from different sources. All the business logic of like combining these different payloads to a single payload that this system A requires, it goes from that route. But in this case, we're not doing this. We're supplying directly from one system, so we don't need to do that. It just goes from this one system to this one.
And the reason you want to know exactly what's being sent over is that you can tell n8n, this is what you're going to get, turn it into,
a post, a blog post.
Got it.
So here we go. It brought it back to me, and okay, it's a payload like this. We stumbled upon something like this, but since it had action, I thought it's just a task. But every task has its kind of like type, so it's publish. We'll keep an eye on that. So I'm going to copy this. I'll go to the Postman and create a new Postman entry or Postman tab in here. And what Postman has is type, post, body. You change this to JSON. That means I'm sending you some JSON information. And this is what my n8n workflow will receive when that button is clicked. And this Postman can only send in the development mode when we're in the development. We'll talk about this inactive toggle in just a second. It has to be in the running mode. You can see it's saying in here, waiting for trigger event. If I send it over, it will basically trigger this by sending like literally this entire payload to this payload. So you can see it now. It requires a URL. That's fine. I'll go and get this URL from here. And my Postman will send this information in there. It says 404. What does it mean? It means that it could not find this URL. What's the reason? Because we are sending post in this guy is set as a GET. There are types of this HTTP request. If we change this to POST and then run this entire thing again, and if I send it, you can see now it went like right away from here to
That
there.
magic green check.
The magic green check. This means like this node ran successfully. It brought one item with it. And if I double click this, I'll see that it has some sort of like JSON in here. And then it has like something here. And what is really interesting for me is this payload, which I asked ChatGPT to go find it out for me. And this is exactly what Storyblock will send me. Quick question for you. Do you know how to read and write JSON?
I do not.
Oh, nice. I am about to get approval, hopefully soon, on the new content of this n8n World Tour that we're doing. We're kind of like around the world, going in places. Like, for example, tomorrow I'll be in Amsterdam, and we provide these workshops. What we have here is n8n starter session. It's kind of like really basic. We did it like to almost 22 cities around the world. This is stop number 2 for us in Amsterdam, the second visit, but this time it's builder session. Like starter session, builder session. It's an intermediate level. And what we teach here is the basics of JSON. So this is the JSON fundamentals is one of the things. And for that reason, it's very important, maybe not during this podcast, but it's very important, especially once this course is approved by n8n and then it's published. It's public information, public YouTube. Probably this one is going to end up on... Hi, my name is... The next one is going to end up on YouTube of n8n. This is the starter session. This also has a lecture about n8n. But this new one, this 9 lectures, has really deep n8n JSON related to n8n content. So I would recommend watching those 2 videos. This will open all the questions you have around how to read and write JSON.
Nice.
But for now, for this podcast, I would just say that there's a thing called body. Inside that, there are 5 items. One of those items that I'm interested in is text. That's it. This is the content of that blog post. That's it. That's all I'm interested in. So now this is good. I got a trigger the moment something gets published, this n8n workflow that will generate Grafana success stories to LinkedIn posts. This trigger will run the moment I turn it on. It will run in the background and it will keep listening all the time. If I take this production URL and send it or configure it on the page where I saw the tutorial, where was it? The Storyblock UI. There was a publish UI here. So if I put this thing here, it's the production URL. And the moment a new story block is created on Storyblock, as new content is created, this n8n will be triggered and you should see something like this in the execution tab. And you don't need to actually have this n8n workflow running in order for that to happen. This toggle button will actually do the magic. It will kind of like run it in the background.
Oh, so instead of hitting execute each time, I just toggle on and off.
Exactly. Yeah. It will just run it in the background. It's the production toggle. You do it and then just run. Okay, now what we do next is, I think you know this part. Once you get the data, all you need to do is like run it through an AI agent node. And in here, define it below and give this text to it. Something like, this is the new blog post. And there will be a system message. You are an expert in writing blog posts. What's wrong with my keyboard? And blah, 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 whatever system message that you have. And we're going to put an OpenAI node in here. And if I execute this again, it's going to ruin this data that I have here. And I have to run Postman again to send this data. But there's a beautiful feature here called pen data. If you click on this, you'll see that the color of this has changed from green to purple. And with that pen icon, it means that it's frozen now. If I save this, if I refresh the page, I go back, that data is still there. So I don't need to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to my Postman so many times. And also, even if I leave this, come back, it's still there. That data is still there. It's a beautiful feature. And you can turn it on and off with the P shortcut key. Like you can press the P, it will freeze and unfreeze it. So since I clicked P, it's gone. Now I need to run it one more time and run this Postman to initiate that. And now you can see that it is initiated. I will press P here so that it can be frozen. And now you can see that it generated a blog post. So there we go. It generated a blog post. Now what to do with this blog post is the question. So it's an n8n kind of like, it doesn't know that it needs to create a LinkedIn post. I will say like, can you generate a LinkedIn post for the following content? And if I execute this part now, it will generate it more in the n8n, sorry, in the LinkedIn format. There we go. Some emojis, some first lines, and so on and so forth. Now, what to do with this information? What's the next step? What's your plan?
So the next step would be a check, right? Ideally, it would ping me in Slack and say, hey, Gina, here's your LinkedIn post for the day. Do you approve, yes or no?
Okay. Slack notification for reminder, basically, so that you don't forget to do that LinkedIn post.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if this was really something that which is automated that I every single day, that would be the idea. Is that I
How
sit
about
down.
email instead of Slack? Why? Because Slack format is not so easy copy pastable to LinkedIn as compared to email inbox. You go through email inbox as frequently as your Slack? Is no. Email, yeah.
But you know what could be interesting though, since you bring that up, is that there's, of course, we have email groups. So if I created an alias that went to myself and maybe our social media team, because they would want to know about this too.
So
and my
an
other
email
team,
group is
an email group that it comes to the email group and says,
here's the new post.
Here's the post for the day.
And then you guys can, in the email group, chat about the post asynchronously?
We would probably chat about it in Slack, to be honest.
Okay.
We're big Slackers.
So having it in Slack. Oh, how about this? We put it on a Google Doc. Are you guys more Google Docs or Microsoft 365?
Not
Microsoft. Okay. No,
I won't say more about that.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm also a Google guy. So
it could go into a doc.
And then the doc link go to a Slack.
Yes.
And doc also has the commenting feature.
Even better, because then if we're like, oh, it's 90% there, but I would like
change it, go there, change it, and then it versions it.
Yeah.
Google Doc versions it, and also Google Docs has a feature of commenting. So you can comment and then assign someone for the graphics, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this with Google Docs, okay? So with Google Docs, it's an easy setup. And there's a pitfall, and there's a solution for that.
Okay.
And that solution is impressive. I'm so proud of myself. Narcissistic statement. So we will add a Google Docs here. There is a pitfall, there is a problem. I will explain that problem. The way Google Docs works with n8n is like you create a Google Doc and then you fill it with some information. So there is not like a create and fill at the same time. So you create a Google Doc, you give it a folder name or folder thing. So I'm gonna create a folder on my Google Drive, basically. I will go to the home page. I'll create one, call it Grafana LinkedIn posts. And that Grafana LinkedIn posts is available here. If I'm using the same Grafana. Let me quickly check if this is the same account. It's SmartPeaks, that's not the correct one. I need to use this one. So Grafana LinkedIn posts, and I should see that Grafana LinkedIn posts in here. I don't know how to refresh it, therefore I'll just refresh the whole page in here. Yeah, I want to add it in a folder called Grafana LinkedIn posts. Wonderful. And the title will have to come from from the AI agent. AI agent right now is sending us some sort of generic information. It's just one output. It doesn't have title. And what I want to do is it generates a title as well for our Google Docs. So I will turn on this require specific format, and I have this output structured output parser. I get that and I say post title. In order to train my AI best, I will literally take this thing, go to ChatGPT and say that here, you see even it generated this, absolutely, here is professional, engaging, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that, right? So can you generate a title for this LinkedIn post? I will take this LinkedIn post title, whatever it gives me, the first one, and I will put this in here as the output structure parser as an example. So this example will basically show that, Mr. AI, you're going to generate a title for me, and this is a sample of that. And the post body will be a text.
I mean, since this is going to be a collaborative doc and this is going to run daily, then could the title even be post for Monday, December
good point.
18th,
we can do that.
Tuesday, December, so that way we can.
We can even do it as a prefix the date, as a suffix the title, so that before even opening it in Google Docs, you can see it. What is this about? So we are gonna tell AI to produce content like this, and always, if you are not sure if it's a correct JSON or not, go to this URL, json.avanai.io, Avanai being my company. It's a vibe-coded solution. Shamelessly plugging in my company's URL here, and paste it there, and then click on valid JSON. If it's broken in any way, for example, here, if it's like this, it could be like that, and then it will tell you that it's not a correct JSON, and then you can go and fix it. And it has to be a correct JSON in order for this to work. So we put that there, and if I execute this again, look at the beauty of this pen feature. If I execute this again, there is a problem in this Google Doc. I'm going to just for now disable it. This is another feature. You click it, and then you press D. It disables it. It allows me to run the workflow because that's problematic. It's not finished. All I want to show now is the output structure parser. The way it did is now you see I have two pieces of information, post title and the post body. So it's kind of going in a very, very nice way in this way.
Nice.
Yeah. Exactly why it's using this thing is because this post, the assumption I had was exactly this, that it's a task, it's not a post. So you remember when I was checking the Google the documentation of block, the story block, I said it's a task, I need a post. So now I see that it's a task. I need to go to this URL and get that post. So basically it's a chain of two events that's happening in story block. When a story block creates a post, it doesn't send you the post detail. It just sends you an information that, hey, there was a post that has recently happened. Unfortunately, the other problem is that it sends you the URL in a line. So it became a little bit complicated. Let me go back to the story block page. So I was in the right place when I found that payload, and I got confused, and I woke up the Kraken. So it triggers tasks for us. And one of those tasks is that Mr. XYZ created a blog post called this one. And then you need to use an API to request that blog post. Okay, let's fix that. So
would that be a like a feature request if I wanted to get in touch with our account person at Storyblock and be like, hey, can you? No, or is that pretty standard?
I mean, this is standard thing. Like they trigger events. They let the recipient know that this thing happened. Are you interested in getting it or not? It's a good architecture, to be honest. It reduces the amount of traffic, because if it would send me the entire blog post, it would be that much of text. Now it's sending me only this much of text saying that I'm done. There is a new thing happening here. And you already know that. So that's a very good concept here. So it's kind of like a chain here. So what happens is system B is saying in step number 1, this is basically step number 1 for us. In step number 1, it says like, hey, there is a new content coming out. And then you use your API, and then you send an HTTP request, just like before. And then you say that, okay, give me the new content with ID 123 ABC. And that ID 123 ABC, you get it from this ID, like whatever it supplies. We'll check out what's this data that's coming out of there. And then once that thing is there, I'll just make this box a little bit bigger so we have some room here. So once that's there, and then this guy will take some milliseconds and then supply you back with the JSON that you need, which contains all the data of that particular blog post. So the triggering point is important. This is important. This doesn't happen on a schedule. It happens whenever a new blog post is created. And that blog post basically sends you a signal that there is a new blog post created. So let's find out.
And I assume that, because actually we also have a blog, right? In addition to the success page. But in Storyblock, if I tag something as a success story, or I tag something as a community blog, or I tag, like these tags, I'm assuming can be applied into this logic where like only send me the tags that are this.
Oh, that is a specific trigger. We need to go into these UI places in here on your Storyblock and find out if those filters can be applied here, that trigger this webhook only if it's a success story page. Otherwise, if it's not on your blog post, on your webhook on this side, imagine if it's supplying some. Well, actually, we need to start imagining, because this is a trigger. After this, we're going to do an HTTP request. For that, we are going to imagine something just to cut time and make sure that this podcast creates. We will spend more time on the Google Doc, not on the other side. We're gonna kind of like fictitiously do this, and then once it's supplied, and then here you can put an if condition. You do it like this: that I got a trigger. Now it's an API time. This is the API request time, right? This route. We do an API request, and then we check the tag. If the tag was success, then we'll create this blog post. Otherwise, we won't. So that if can happen in here.
Okay.
All right, so now we need an API. We're going to fictitiously create the API, because I don't want to create a Storyblock account and create a blog post there, and I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty details of this CMS. I want to stay more focused on this world of n8n and this world of building a workflow that's end-to-end. All right, so now let's ask AI to generate a payload for us. This AI already knows about this. I will ask it, can you please generate a payload of an API that would send me back a blog post? And the blog post should be for the following content. Make sure that you search the documentation of Storyblock to find what exactly is the kind of payload signature or the contract that Storyblock can send. So I'm gonna paste that content of success page of Uber from Grafana's website so that we have something. There you go. Copy and paste. So this JSON that is going to be produced by ChatGPT is most probably going to be the JSON that this API is going to send us from Storyblock. So there are two things involved from Storyblock. The trigger that will let us know with a signal that John Doe created a page that's called whatever, with some tags perhaps. And second, we need is an API from Storyblock that we send a request to Storyblock right after receiving the signal saying that, hey, you just told me 200 milliseconds ago that there's a new story created. Can you please give me all the details? And then this would be the details that we'll receive from Storyblock. And this is basically the entire signal. It will signal us, and then we'll go and then go back. So the entire cycle, these three times back and forth cycle, should take like 1 or 2 seconds to go back and forth between the servers of n8n and Storyblock. So it's gonna.
Is it another question? Because again, I didn't do the technical part of my job very limited until n8n kind of came into my world. Webhooks. Is it really standard for? I mean, the way you went to Storyblock and you saw this whole menu of webhooks, is that pretty standard for just about like any platform, like they have a whole menu of what you can do and how to use that webhook? I'm asking because there's various vendors, platforms that we're looking into now, and we've kind of had these conversations in our team, like, oh, I wonder if they have
a webhook.
Is it pretty much everyone has these, or
yes.
no?
It's not really a universe. It's also a policy of the company. Some companies do not provide all the webhooks for everything else. They provide like small tier parts, especially in the pricing tier you are in, and they kind of like push you towards the custom pricing so that they can make more money. And webhook is one of those very custom features that people want to put in behind paywalls, behind sales calls and discovery calls and so on. So it's always good when you're doing a scouting for your new tools in your enterprise, you go and find out from these two perspectives what APIs they provide, what webhooks they provide, especially when you're in long term thinking about integrating it and like automating it.
For automations, right?
Automation.
Exactly.
It's very important, yes. Okay. So here's the payload, and luckily it does send some tags in here. So we're gonna rename one of those tags to success story page, and then we can define that based on that. So this is the trigger point. This is absolutely fine. We're going to create an API also using n8n. I think with n8n you can do a lot of things. And what we are going to do is go to n8n, create a new API. And the API in n8n is just a webhook. We're going to create a webhook. And here there's an option called using respond to webhook. So I'm going to pick that and make this thing as a GET. I'm just going to make it simple. But the API that you might be finding on Storyblock will probably be GET, and we'll have like a parameter saying like what's the post ID or something. But for now, I'm just going to keep it simple and go as a webhook. And then in here, I'm going to put this respond to webhook. And what I'm going to say is like respond with this JSON. What JSON is that? The JSON that we just produced from here. I'm going to copy and send over this entire JSON. What I've done here with only these two nodes is basically I created a webhook, an API. I'll call it Grafana story block API mock data. And I will turn this thing on as well. What happened? Grafana story block mock data. Problem. It says like requested fail with stats. Okay, there's some. That's weird. I'm gonna copy this entire JSON just so that I don't lose it. I'll refresh. There's an internal server error. Cloudflare.
Oh, they've gotten me good too the past few
Come on,
weeks.
Cloudflare. And I did this LinkedIn post earlier. I need to take you guys to that LinkedIn post. And if you guys think that the world is not, the internet is not, oh, Max. Hi, Max. How are you, Max? Max is the DevRel from n8n. Sweet guy and like really nice. I look up to him when it comes to content marketing. He actually gave me all these tips
for all your
on
stuff.
what kind of stuff that I should buy, especially this camera. Amazing quality, amazing things. Super tiny, but really makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Max, for that recommendation. And all the other tips and tricks that you have given me for all the content marketing things. So now I did a post. Oh, some other post of mine also went viral. It was like crazy. So let me find that post I did just a couple of days ago. And that thing went viral. Oh, this one went viral again. Damn, this is fast. What was it? This one also went viral, 176,000 views. I just brought some. Is this real or AI? And my son actually loves these videos. He says, oh, Papa, that's real. That's AI. That's real. And usually he's right, so you can figure it out. Here. When was it?
That was last week. The
that
last
was
one.
4 days ago.
Yeah.
4 days ago, it kind of went viral, 16,000. And Cloudflare was failing there as well. And Cloudflare, come on, come back. Okay, it's back. And I'm happy that I copied it in the thing so that it can run. Okay, it's running now. And turn it on. Okay, that's running. I'm gonna call it Grafana story block API mock data, because I don't want to kind of like do this. Okay, and this is the URL I need for sending a request to this. So I'm gonna quickly test it with Postman. As you remember, it was Git. I'll question it. It says not test. It should be the production one because it's running. There you go. I get all the data that I want. And this is the URL I'm going to use in the other workflow that I had, this LinkedIn post workflow. So we had it open here, so this one. So we are going to do an HTTP request to this supposedly, it's a mock data, it's a kind of like a test data. We are assuming that that Grafana, story block will send us this kind of data. And if I hit this request, it will go through this. So the workflow goes like this. And now it's the time to kind of like see it like this. We have pretty much both of these steps done. So this is done. This part basically is done because we configured something, it's sending us, we requested, it's coming back. So the data is right now sitting in here. What we'll do next is we'll check if this data contains a tag that is success story, right? So we put tags. Forgot where did we put tags in here. You can also search it like this. And it is right here, tag list. So tag list should have webinar, Grafana Cloud, Uber, We're going to go in and fix that in the other mock data, and we will call it, how did we call it? Success story?
Sure, yeah.
So it was tag list. We'll add another tag list called success. Okay? And now this will supply as success as one of these posts. So if I run it again, it runs through all of them. I don't need the AI to run yet. I will go here and I will search for, tag list. It doesn't go there, but I have to, here, tag list. And it now contains the success keyword. So we'll do this and come over here. In the if condition, I get this tag list in here. Here we go. And drag and drop the tag list. Contains, so intelligent. Like this thing is like really good. I love it. And I'll say if it has success, it will go to the true branch. If, let's say, I'm just doing some spelling mistake to kind of like double check it. If it doesn't have success 111, it goes to the false branch. That means like it's not going to create the workflow or the product. So we're going to check for that success. And if we run it, you can see it's running. And yet we need to do something else here. And here I'm going to put a few more information. The post title, because I already get the post title from the, oh, sorry, it's too early, not the post title. So we'll need to now observe what comes out of this data. So this data is, let's observe it a little bit here. So what we have here is an intro, a name of the title, a component, which is, okay, the entire body, which is how many paragraphs and what is written in those paragraphs, the solution. So literally it's across a lot of content. Apparently what story block, oh, actually block comes from that. It's going block. It's doing is what Notion is doing. So if you read some Notion data inside your n8n workflows, it works the same way. It comes in chunks of data. So this data, all of these pieces of data is a piece that you need. So for example, if you have a code in there, you need that. So the data is sitting literally inside this JSON.
Got it.
The best way is to, in here, to put like a code node and clean it up and kind of like pick only those pieces of text and put them all together and then send it to AI. Why this is a good way? Because you save a lot of tokens. So you save a lot of, you pay less to the LLM provider. But for now, I'm going to just remove that requirement. This is a kind of podcast content. We don't need to go through the best possible way. For now, we will just go in and give all of the JSON to LLM, and then the LLM will find it from those places. So
is there also a reason to send as minimal data to the agent as well, because there's less chance of hallucinations?
Absolutely. Yes, okay. That's one of the other reasons. So now in here, I'll say that, can you create this thing? And what I want to do is I want to grab all the data that is in there. So literally all the data that's here. So what is that data? If I check this JSON, this entire JSON is this data, but it shows this little object to me. I can literally take this entire object and stringify it. It says a small piece of JavaScript, which basically says, hey, go ahead and then take everything that's in this object and create a string out of that. That's what it says it does. And you can see that now this story is in there, this name is in there, and also that Uber's journey with Grafana and blah, blah, blah is there. So basically, now the LLM can see the entire object. That means the LLM will produce a way better and more structured LinkedIn post for this particular content that's coming into it. And there we go. We got a title. We got some content going on in here. That's good. We're going to pin this one. I think we're going to also pin this one. So those are not going to change anytime soon. And we're going to, well, this is not pinnable, but this is just an if condition. We'll jump over that very quickly. And it's the time for us to work on the Google Docs. So in the Google Docs, we already have a post. We're going to bring the post. But as you mentioned, we need like a prefix of day, month, time, and so on. So what we can do is create an edit field here, a set field, and then create a field that's called file name prefix. And then in here, the value will be an expression. This is basically JavaScript. So we can like literally have this month dot format, and it can put a prefix like this, 2015, 19, something. And this is exactly what we need as a prefix. So we have this one field, and then we have this field if I execute previously. And this particular agent, so the file name will come as a prefix like this. And then we'll have like a dash maybe. And then the other information will come from the AI agent node, which is the post title. And the title itself will be something like this: date dash the title, the readable title. And if I execute this and I go to my Google Drive in the Grafana, in the emilsire.com, and here you'll see that probably this is the one that was created previously. We don't need this. It created this file. And if I open it, it's an empty file. Now, the way n8n works with Google Docs is it creates the file for you, and it returns an ID, this ID. And you need to put another Google Docs and put this update feature or update node, and then you drag and drop this URL, the ID in this field, and then you can supply the text. Where's the text setting? Inside the AI agent node. And we put this one here, and that's it, pretty much the whole story. If I execute this level and I go here, I see my LinkedIn post sitting right there, right now. And that's pretty much it. And every single time a new API is created, I go to my Google Drive in Grafana, it automatically creates this one. So
so V2.
Yes?
Just a question. Because this is all like, okay, something new was created. I've read it. Here's a LinkedIn post because it's something new.
Yeah.
Could it also go like retroactively? Could it just be like, hey, today I'm going to choose something from the history of what's been posted on Success? Like more of a random one. How much more complicated or what where's your mind go
some
with
days
like that?
Oh, actually we can expand it like this, that this particular workflow will see if we change it from this trigger to schedule, and then every day at 9 a.m. it goes and sees if there is a new post available. If not, go and pick something from this history that has not been covered yet. And this is possible. Yeah. It's just like you change it from there to a trigger. Possible. And with that, I would say pretty much what we wanted to cover is covered. Next steps are pretty simple and easy. You literally put a Slack trigger here. I'm not going to cover this because I don't have actually I do. It's just send message. And then you get, actually let's do it. Let's finish it because I hate leaving incomplete things. So the URL of a Google Doc is predictable. It's just this ID, and then the prefix stays the same. So you copy this URL, you go to your n8n workflow, and you put a Slack message. And that Slack message goes to a channel. That channel is, that's what I was saying. I don't have a Slack account. Oh, there we go. I don't want to. No. This is the wrong Slack. Yeah, I don't have a Slack right now.
But I'm familiar with this part, though. You would just you would select the channel.
Exactly. And the message will be like this. There is a new post about whatever, and then you put this as an expression, and then URL for the Google Doc are linked to Google Docs, and then you put this prefix, and then the area where it says this ID changes to this URL, right? Or you don't code it, you just drag and drop it. You know where is the document ID, and just bring in this document ID, and then it generates that URL that's gonna go to Slack. So that's the only missing piece. Since my Slack is not authenticated and I don't want to kind of like have a, this is a zero edit webinar, therefore I don't want to have like open my DaVinci Resolve or something to do the edits. So that's pretty much it. Our n8n podcast coming to an end, just wrapping it up. How was it?
Amazing because, like you said, n8n is so flexible that this immediately shoots off other ideas on, well, if we're tagging other things in Storyblok a certain way, or if I want to send a Slack message to another team in another channel, or if I wanted to drop it in a Google Sheet, you know, like it's a template for one thing, but inevitably it's actually interchangeable for a lot of a lot of things. So.
It's pretty much a complete set of tools, and I think that's what really makes me wake up early in the mornings and produce content about this and talk about it, give workshops. Speaking about workshops, like today I have a workshop in a couple of hours. This is, I lost the track of it. It's kind of 48 or 47 or maybe 50. It already surpassed the 50. I love teaching about this. I'm glad we had this time. It was very nice.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very valuable.
Thank you so much. It was very nice to meet you. I will
see
you again, probably online.
Maybe in the builder session.
Maybe in the builder session in Barcelona. With that, this was episode number 15. I'm heading to buy one of these things so that you guys don't see this flickering anymore for episode number 16, which is happening tomorrow. Hopefully my guest is not going to get sick or something. It's a very interesting episode, which is about podcasting. He did a podcast with almost 200 episodes, and he built a blueprint, and during the podcast he's going to show me his blueprint so that I can adopt and I can learn from, and I will build something in n8n around that thing so that I can use it myself later on. So it's kind of like hashtag dogfooding and kind of symbiosis podcast about podcasts to enable podcasts. Some mind-boggling. See you guys in episode number 16. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Wonderful. This was a good one. Choose. Oh, there's a feature. Like, let me see if I can trigger it. There's a feature that is not a Vibe Stage feature. It's a camera feature. Like this. There we go. Yay! Bye.